Hello, it's Brent here at Leverage Lean, and today is Monday, which means it's Macro Monday, and I can't think of a better way to start out your week than being more efficient and effective on your computer. And the best way to do that is use our latest macro. What kind of macro we dropping this morning? Let me show you. Alright, this is the macro we're dropping this morning. This is an Excel macro, find largest and smallest value. Now the name really kind of hints at what this macro is going to do. By default, this macro loops through the entire workbook, finding the largest and smallest value within every row, every column, and then returning it in a message box so you can see what those values are. It's really easy to customize this macro to only search through specific ranges. And this macro could be a standalone function, or you can use it within existing macros, is how I intend to use this when I need to find the max or minimums within a specific range or an entire workbook. And with a couple customizations to this macro, you can actually get it to fire immediately when the workbook opens. And I'll show you that in this video. Now, if you've yet to see this macro in action, check out our See It in Action video here. And as I continue my way down, here is the code that is going to run this macro. Now, instead of just diving in to this code and pasting it into a workbook, I do want to show you a really easy way that you can just quickly start using this macro. I put a link up here which will download the workbook that I used in these videos. And then what you can do is you can easily open that workbook and then start using this macro. Now, once this Excel workbook opens, you may have to enable it for editing, but I do want to dive you into the most important part where this code actually is in this workbook. If you've yet to have the developer tab enabled, I do have some instructions on how to do that on leveragelean.com. You should see that just on that macro page on the right side. All right, on the developer tab, you can then dive into Visual Basic and we can look at this code. Now here's module 1 that holds the find largest and smallest values, and by default in this workbook I have it set up to loop through every single worksheet, every single column, every single row to find those values. And if I dive back over to what the data looks like for this, it's going to pull in a variety of fields that I might just not really care to look at. So what you can do then is you can really narrow this down to search for specific ranges, and in this example I look at column E, and I indicate that in here by changing my range to look from all cells to just column E. And then also another neat feature in this workbook is what you can display in the message box. So I can display the max and minimum, largest, smallest value, however you want to say that, but it doesn't really help me if I don't know where I found that. In the Active Workbook, I have multiple worksheets. So what worksheet did I find that? That's why I also put out this message box. You can simply swap out and then see what worksheet actually that max or minimum value was found in. And then if you're also interested in firing this macro when this workbook opens, it's really easy to go into this workbook and then also enter in the open action and then call a specific macro to fire once it opens. So you can see it's really easy to set this up. Just no longer make this call code line a comment. So now we're calling the find largest and smallest value when this workbook opens. And then you just want to save this workbook somewhere and open it. And I can actually show you that. I'll go ahead and save this workbook and show you what this looks like. So you can see I have this workbook saved on my desktop. And now the next time I open it, that macro will run in the current state and then display that message box showing the worksheet name, so south, and then you can see east for the minimum, and then the max and minimum values in that message box, which can be extremely helpful if that's really your task. You have to open the workbook and then determine what these values are quickly as users maybe populate this information periodically throughout the day. This can really be a great time saver if that's in fact what you're trying to do. So that's really what I have set up for this macro. I'm really excited to get this one out to you. Really easy to, again, just download this workbook. You get all of the code listed down here, and then just to go through the customized section, I kind of went through that walking through VBA, but you can set the range to really whatever you want. by default, I'm looping through every single worksheet, every column, every cell to find the min and max values, largest, smallest, however you want to say that. And then I call out the current max and minimums, code lines 23 and 24, and then code line 25. What I'm doing there is I'm actually making sure that we're on the first worksheet. I have a problem setting the minimum value initially because it's currently set to 0, and nothing's really going to be less than 0 unless I just take the first minimum I find on that first worksheet instance. So that's what code line 25 is doing. Maybe someone has a better way to do that. Give me a shout. I absolutely appreciate learning through some of this stuff. And then the message box that displays. If you don't like how it displays, I gave you a couple options here. You can really leverage the workbook name, the worksheet name, whatever you think really helps you get what you need there. And then again, I showed you how you can call this macro when the workbook opens, but it also opens the window to any macro when an Excel workbook opens. So I just made the call out there too. You can put any macro name in there and then start using that as a trigger point to call your macros. All right. That's all I have for this new macro, Excel find largest and smallest value. I absolutely want to know what you think of this one. Are you going to use this as a standalone macro? Are you going to embed this in existing code? Tell me more about what you're working on. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to view this video. I really do appreciate it. If you want to start using a macro, I've seen the video, I have a link in the description. If you could do me another big favor, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, stay updated on any new videos that I'm posting. Like us, follow us on all of our other social media channels, and as always, stay awesome.